Hey guys, what's going on? It's Filmington, and in today's video, it's going to be all around SGC. The second part of the video is going to preview a SGC submission order that I'm currently preparing. It's going to be my first ever order through SGC. The first part of the video, I'm going to be talking about SGC as a company. And I have spoken about SGC in a few of my more recent videos, a recent live stream, bold hobby predictions of 2020, as well as an episode that I did on Mike O's channel recently. But this is an episode where I'm going to be going into quite a bit more depth on SGC, what I think about them, and what I think about what could happen in the next 6 to 12 months. And, this is something that can't be achieved without the help of myself, Nolan Alico3, Gary V, and a lot of you other guys as well. But I do think that currently, right now, as a community, as a collective group of hobby participants, we've been unfairly devaluing SGC as a service, as a product, basically since the beginning of SGC as a company. And you can see this, especially with modern cards, how they sell today versus the PSA and Beckett counterparts. You could argue that you could also see this with post-war or even post-1920 cards. They're not selling for what they should be selling for, but we're going to fix this. But first, taking a step back, when I look at what is important for me in a grading company, or what are the key criteria for everybody in the hobby in regards to a grading company, I think of three main things, and that is, one, how tough and accurate they are as a grading company. And SGC has never been knocked here, from what I can see. They have a very great reputation, unlike the more independent slab companies like the GMAs of the world, the BCCGs. SGC has always been right up there. They're not just giving out tens like candy. Number two, are they consistent from one product to the next product, from one card to the next card, from one submission to the next submission? And yes, they are very consistent. And I think what's helped is that they've had the same head of grading services for, I believe, a period of 20 to 30 years, which I'm not so sure if the other big guys can say that. Number three, the last key criterion is resale value. And this is where SGC falls down. I already spoke about this. Basically, if you're to look at, and we'll talk about modern cards, and this is all through eBay, comps, recently sold items over the last 90 days. If you're to look at an SGC 10 gold label and look at those prices of the same card versus a BGS 10, never mind a BGS 10 black label, it's going to be selling for a lot less than a BGS 10 pristine. Normally, it'll sell for closer to a PSA 10. Okay? If it's to sell at auction, it'll definitely sell for closer to a PSA 10. But I've spoken with Nolan Alico3, who has a lot more experience than I of seeing SGC cards, modern cards, up close. And he'll tell you that it's pretty apples to apples in regards to the actual condition of the card taken out of the slab. He said actually that if you were to take 10 cards in PSA 10 slabs and 10 cards in SGC 10 non-gold label slabs, if you took those cards out of their current slabs and submitted them to the other company, 7 out of 8 would cross to that grade. PSA 10 to SGC 10 non-gold label, and SGC 10 non-gold label to PSA 10. So it's pretty apples to apples, but SGC 10s, again, they're like PSA 10s, but they sell for closer to a BGS minimum gem, not even the quad 9.5. It's going to sell for closer to a minimum gem today, which is unfair. The SGC 9.5, which is unlike Beckett has their 9.5 as gem mint with the grading scale of SGC. They call it mint plus. It sells for about a PSA 9. And SGC 9 sells for less than a PSA 9 today, which might be okay that it sells for a little bit less, because PSA doesn't have that half grade in between the PSA 9 and PSA 10. So You could argue that an SGC 9.5 is sort of robbing the better half of those SGC 9s. So more of those kind of higher quality PSA 9s will fall back down to a 9. Whereas with SGC, the 9.5 might catch some of those 9s because it does have that extra grade. So I think that's fair. But the fact of the matter is a lot of these high grades, no translation that makes sense across their values from one card to the next. And some other factors, I mentioned the big three, but some other factors that matter for me and for others with grading companies are client experience, customer service. With that comes website, turnaround times, which we all know, PSA 5.5+ months for the bulk service. Who the hell knows now? They're going to maybe become even more backed up. We'll see once they reopen. Beckett just removed their guaranteed turnaround times, and they've already started to fall behind, even with some of the, the 5 and 10 and 30-day services. This is before they even closed. And another factor that I think is important and I think this is kind of minor. I think people overplay this, but the aesthetics of the case. It's an acquired taste, guys. If you were an alien, or if you were from a different country that didn't know about sports cards and the whole market of grading cards, and you were dropped in this country at a card show and you were staring at a display case that had PSA graded card and an SGC graded card, you wouldn't naturally be drawn to the PSA first. It's a matter of preference, guys. And I honestly think, from an unbiased take, SGC might win from aesthetics. Now, you can knock on the label all you want, but if they were to change their label like they already have, I think it might hurt them because people like uniformity. So when PSAs change the label, it's usually a little less recognizable. The lighthouse flip, some of the changes they made to the back of the slab. I just think that people are unfairly conflating what they're used to with what's more aesthetically appealing. Those are two very different things. So PSA, yes, they do get the benefit of the doubt with visual today because people like that uniformity. They like what they're used to. Maybe they're used to being able to store the cards in a certain way. They know how much space they're taking up. They know how much weight they're going to take up, and they have all those factors going for them. But I don't think PSA necessarily has an edge over SGC today, and that's with kind of the label being something they could work on a bit. But just try to stare at these slabs. Pretend like you've never collected before. Really? Is this one that much better? Is it really? Or are we just a bunch of sheep? I'm part of the problem. I'm part of that. So now let's talk about what SGC would need to do in order to increase its resale value, what customers would need to do to increase its resale value, what SGC needs to do in order to increase its market share. So right now, in a temporary situation, of course, you guys probably know PSA and Beckett are closed. Nobody knows how long they're really going to be closed for. Nobody even knows if SGC is going to stay open for the foreseeable future. But right now, you would think that they have an immediate ability to gain market share. In a recent video, I talked about how I thought they would gain market share regardless in the next 1 or 2 years. This is before PSA and Beckett were closed. But this is more of an immediate happening. And SGC has to be smart. It's not going to be easy because for as many people that are submitting to SGC for the first time right now, people are still sending raw cards to their middlemen, their submission groups for PSA and Beckett. And they're going to be holding on to these until PSA and Beckett reopen, and then the backlog will continue. So SGC still needs to act. And they've actually been pretty aggressive with some of their marketing collateral. I'll show a few pieces. They're willing and they're hoping that they can gain some of PSA and Beckett's business. So I love how they're being aggressive right now. So what can SGC do to succeed within the next 3 to 6 months? Well, I think there's two big things that could happen. Unfortunately for SGC, a lot of this is actually in the consumer's hands. So these are consumer-initiated behaviors that would influence SGC's values in the short and long term, and their market share as well. So the first way, I think this is going to happen the most naturally. This has to do with arbitrage opportunities. With this context, it means buying a card off eBay or somewhere online, probably it's going to have to be through e-commerce right now, buying an SGC slab card. And once you get that in the mail, cracking it out of its case, there's tons of videos showing how to do that. Or you could leave it in its case. You could even do that. And then submitting it to Beckett or PSA once they reopen, getting a bump on the value. Again, we talked about how there's lopsided valuations across the three grading companies, how SGC kind of gets a short end of the stick. But having said that, the conditions of the cards are very comparable across the three. There's naturally arbitrage opportunities, and there always have been. But I think with people like Alico3, myself, Gary Fee, putting this out there, that SGC is a viable alternative, that people will realize that and think that SGC slabs are cool and think that a market shakeup is possible. But I think that this more and more will happen, and arbitrage opportunities like this are going to lessen over time as that gap narrows, as the market gets more efficient and knowledgeable about this and confident about SGC's capabilities. Then that market value gap will narrow, will shrink, and that'll be a good thing for SGC's values to get bumped up to the likes of Beckett or PSA. Also, this arbitrage could inevitably lead to people holding cards in SGC holders. So this is also big. So once that arbitrage starts to get taken advantage of, exploited, people are going to be happy with just keeping the card in an SGC slab, because guess what? They can sell it for just as much as they would if they were to convert it and get, a PSA 10 from an SGC 10 non-gold label. And this is going to lead to people submitting their own cards to SGC, and it's going to lead to people seeking out SGC slab cards when they're buying. So maybe some of those pre-created searches on eBay or filters are going to be looking at not just PSA 10 or BGS 9.5 True Gem, but also SGC 10 Gold Label, SGC Pristine, SGC 9.5. I think that's going to be the norm more and more over the next 1 to 2 years. Okay, another way that SGC can succeed. Number 2, more and more people submit base cards to them. As we know, over the last 2 months, we've seen an explosion of Topps Update, Topps Series 2, Topps Flagship, True Rookies, BSA 10, the base cards, not even the parallels really, but those have been seeing an exorbitant, parabolic growth, appreciation across a lot of those key cards. And guys, when PSA and Beckett are closed, so this is something that we need to take advantage of as a collective society. If you have faith in those base cards, and I admit some of these recent price trends I don't have full faith in, but I think if a bunch of people are getting those Yordan Alvarez 2020 Topps Series 1, the stuff from Topps Heritage, the Gavin Lux, the Bo Bichette's, all those top rookie cards, the base cards, if they're submitting in mass quantity to SGC and flooding the market. Another example of this could be the opening day Luis Robert short print. You're getting more and more people used to seeing them. In a lot of cases, like with 2020 Topps Series 1, especially with Heritage, especially with opening day, you're not going to have an alternative with PSA, with Beckett, to get a high-graded gem copy at one of those base cards. So you're going to have more and more people hopefully seeking out SGC, and then that should trickle over into other products. That could trickle over into 2018 Topps Series 2 Ohtani base cards, or we talked about Topps Update, 2019 Topps Series 2, Tatis, Alonso, Eloy, etc. And basically, I think that starting with the most recent sets that don't have the viable alternatives in the top grades with PSA and Beckett slabs, I think that that could potentially trickle over into the older sets. But it has to start with 2020 Topps Series 1. It has to start with 2020 Topps Heritage. Get that transaction volume up on eBay and convince people that the SGC high grade is a viable alternative to a PSA 10. This is going to be very trying and testing if all this happens on SGC as a company and their ability to handle capacity. I remember one time I worked at a restaurant in college, and Bertucci's was across the street, that was notoriously just more popular. We were just an Irish pub, weren't really known for our dinner attendance, and Bertucci's had a fire in their kitchen, and all of those customers, maybe half of them, ended up going across the street and going to Owen O'Leary's, where I worked at the time. And we didn't handle it too well. I actually had a table, I was a server, that chewed and screwed because we couldn't handle the capacity. We weren't ready for it. So is SGC ready for it? Are they ready to hire? Have they already hired? Do they have the infrastructure in place? We didn't have the most efficient processes in place, from the kitchen to the bar to the wait staff to the software, to be able to handle that. So can SGC handle it? So it's going to be a big stress test on SGC for real. But I think if those two things happen, the arbitrage opportunities that have been available forever finally starting to get taken advantage of, as well as more and more people submitting to SGC, especially the newer cards, especially the base cards, those cards seeing an inflated price because Beckett and PSA alternatives don't exist, and that starts to trickle over into some of the older products from 2019, 2018, 2017, etc. I think that there is a reasonable chance that the resale value of SGC could increase, as well as we talked about the market share as well. Again, we can't just do this and rely on SGC. A lot of this is very consumer driven. We have to change our behaviors. We have to rewire our brains and understand that SGC is a good product. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that card. Jesus Christ. The last thing I wanted to mention before I get into the SGC prep portion of this video is that in time, not immediately, but as SGC grows in popularity, they're going to want to think about changing their pricing model to have a greater difference between bulk submission rates and individual cards getting graded. Because right now, I think it's negotiable. I don't think they have a set price for bulk submission. It's one of those things where you kind of have to call a rep or email a rep. It might be $5 or $6, where with PSA, it could be a difference of $10, $11, maybe even $12. And I think this business model has really helped PSA. You might complain about the price increase that happened on January 1st, but guess what? A lot of those bulk submission groups aren't affected that are submitting in quantities of 200 and greater. And that just shows the fact that that price increase is hurting the smaller guys more than the bigger guys. That just shows how they want to operate. They want to incentivize these large PSA bulk submission groups that have absolutely overwhelmed them with volumes. They want to incentivize them to keep on submitting. And we're going to continue to increase our profits and revenues, but it's not going to be because we increased prices. It'll be because of higher volumes. That's how they're making their money. Off volumes, not off the price increases. And SGC at some point, you could make the argument, why would you have a SGC submission group if there's no demand for it? So you have the chicken or egg dilemma. But I think in time, once there is a spike in demand for SGC as a service, I think that you're going to need some of those intermediary type groups to exist to feed the beast. So you have the submission groups feeding the demand. You have the individual consumers that are feeding the demand. They kind of work off each other. And that's one of the reasons why PSA has been able to, I think, expand as fast as they have versus Beckett, where you're not really seeing that incremental benefit from submitting through a group service. So if SGC was to institute a greater gap, maybe decrease the price of bulk, but also increase the price of singular cards or cards that are submitted in groups of 50 or less, I'm just making this up, that would give a greater incentive for middlemen to operate in the SGC space, because there'd be a lot more demand to take advantage of those benefits from the consumer's eyes. Now let's turn the camera around. We're going to be doing my SGC prep. I don't have a price locked in yet, but these are just some of the cards that I'll be submitting next week. All right, so we got over 30 cards here. Little Shohei Ohtani base. Some more Shohei Ohtani. This is the Topps Chrome. We've got these Dustin May, Gavin Lux Heritage cards. Probably look pretty sweet with the black gasket. I've noticed that. Black bordered cards look really nice in SGC, as it does everything really, guys. And another Ohtani. We've got another Chrome Ohtani. This is a Series 2 Ohtani. We got some Acuñas. A couple of these are glossy, whatever you call them, from Gypsy Queen. Picked these up in a lot. Got this Laureano Prism Auto. 4 of the action variations, Gavin Lux. Again, look at that black border. It's going to look sweet with that black gasket. No brainer, guys. No brainer. So these Torres short prints, I don't think these are 10s, but I think these could get 9s. These have gone up quite a bit in price. The best deals on eBay right now, guys, aren't auctions, in my opinion. I'll talk about that in an upcoming video. The best deals are going to be the bins with offers that are up for a few hours that people are just snatching. People that need that immediate money and are getting it. Marco Luciano from a recent break with my man Foo3112. Shane Bieber. Nice clean auto on this. So I believe that it doesn't cost any more money to get the autograph graded with SGC. Not positive, but unlike Beckett, I believe that's the case. I also know, this is more important for you guys, I also think with modern cards that have on-card autographs or sticker autographs, certified autographs is the right term, that it is more common to see the autograph graded than not. This is something that we're going to need to watch, because once you stop getting the autograph graded with a slab that's used to having that grade, you're going to see a little drop in value. People are just going to assume like, oh, why didn't he get the autograph graded? Sure, he could have skimped out because of cost, in case with Beckett, but a lot of cases with Beckett, it's because the autograph just wasn't as good. They didn't think that it would get a 10. So just something to think about, guys. Of course, it's a lot worse to get the autograph graded than not if the autograph is under a 10. If it's a 9 auto, it's not good. It's going to hurt value with Beckett, probably 35%, maybe 40%, which is unfortunate. Probably do something similar with SGC. So the bottom line is get the autograph graded if you can with Beckett and with SGC, but only if you think it's going to be a 10. If it's falling off the card, if it's streaky, look at other examples on eBay. I know with Eloy Jimenez, with some players they've been more lenient than others, but you can kind of predict what's going to happen to the autograph. It's easier to do that than to predict the overall card grade. Jose Ramirez autograph from 2014, Topps Chrome update maybe, or Topps Chrome, I forget. Topps Chrome, I guess. And this, I'd be happy to get a 9 on this. It's off-centered. It's probably got some surface issues. Another Marco Luciano, Wander Franco. Got some Ketel Martes, a guy that I thought would be a dark horse to win the MVP in 2020. Now I don't know what's going to happen. I know they talked about games maybe starting July 1st, a 100-game season or something going into October 15th with regulation. But we'll see. We'll see about that. Still way too early to tell. But I got 3 of these. Beautiful cards, beautiful signatures. Another one of the beautiful signature. This is his blue number to 150. I don't know what to think about these. I mean, I don't have experience submitting to SGC, so I don't know if they're 9s, 9.5s. I don't know if I might get a few 10s. I guess we'll see. We'll see, guys. This is a reverse negative Devers. Really nice. It does have a little surface scratch thing going on, I think. So I'd be happy with a 9.5, mint plus, or maybe even a 9. This is the only card of all the cards in my queue that I won't be submitting to SGC. So out of full transparency, I'm not holding anything back for Beckett, for PSA right now. I'm really not, except for this. And the reason why is because of the streaky auto. I just think it's a better candidate for PSA. I'm not going to risk the chance of getting an auto 9 when that's really going to severely diminish the value of the card, whether it's SGC or Beckett. PSA, and this is somewhat of a blanket statement that some might argue is flawed, but of the 3 major grading companies, they're the only one where it's always going to be accepted to not get the autograph graded. A lot of people don't like the way it looks. Since the beginning of time, people just haven't done it. It makes the label look really busy, congested, I guess is the right term. So this is going to PSA and not getting the auto graded. All right, guys. Well, that is pretty much it. There are a few other cards that I didn't show. Maybe I submit close to 40. Basically, 2020 Top Series 1 base, Lux, Bichette, Jordan. I got a bunch of those. Those will be going out too. And that'll be hopefully the coming week. Hopefully you guys liked what you saw. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. And Filmington is out. Take care, guys. Have a good weekend.